Hello guys, thank you for tuning into my channel. My name is Anthony. I do take this opportunity to welcome all of you who have spared your time today to view this video. It is my pleasure to have your audience today, and I pray that your time will be well spent and that every minute that you spend watching this video will add to you. So today I'd like us to delve into the topic that I started last time, which is about leadership. So there are certain parameters that I introduced in the last video that were just meant to expound on who a leader is. So the video that I did primarily just introduced the summary of who a leader is. Now in these subsequent videos, I want to now start focusing on the traits that we should look for in a leader. And the reason why I think this is important is because throughout my life I've come to understand that we should not assume things. Okay, the greatest disservice or mistake you can do is to assume something. Just because you know something, just because you have experienced something, just because you've had the privilege of going through something, does not mean that everybody else shares in that privilege or that experience. And so when we talk about our country and the quest for looking for good leadership, it is incumbent upon us to understand that we all come from different backgrounds. We have different experiences of life, and therefore, yes, we might be wanting or desiring the same things, but our approaches might differ. And because there is no harmonization of thoughts, we can strive for one thing, but because our understanding of that thing is skewed, then there is no harmony in the way we'll achieve that thing. So we need to harmonize our minds. We need to align the parameters that we use in life so that the results that we are seeking for, we can be able to kind of bring unity. There's a unity of purpose in the way we think and in the things that we chase after. So in our today's topic, I'd like us to talk about honesty in leadership. Okay, so I'll merge it into there's honesty, truthfulness, and integrity in leadership. If you live in Kenya, you know about chapter 6 of the Constitution, which basically focuses on the integrity part of a leader. And it is very important that we be intentional in wanting to have people who have integrity. When we are looking to elect people into office, we need to be intentional in selecting people that have demonstrated that they have the ability to be people who can be trusted. They're truthful, they're honest. The reason as to why this is important is because, especially in a country such as Kenya, most of our problems arise because of mismanagement of resources. We trust people and put them into places of leadership and responsibility and authority with an expectation that they're going there to serve our needs. They're going to provide effective management of the resources that are available for all of us. But what happens is that most of these people that we put in these places end up stealing what was meant for the general public. And according to the survey that has been done in Kenya, or maybe let me just use the pronouncement of the former president, we lose approximately 2 billion shillings a day to corruption. That's a whole vast amount of money that can cause a lot of change in this country. Basically, even just in the education sector, in the healthcare sector, if it's just equipping the hospitals, that's a whole lot of money. And therefore, we need to fill these gaps. We need to seal these loopholes where money is being pilfered. And where there's pilferage of money, it all boils down to the integrity of a person. Because even if you have all these safeguards, every human action is guided by the consciousness that you have as a person. What moral compass do you bear as an individual? How were you brought up? What values did your parents instill in you? What social structures were there in your places of upbringing, that define your morals as a person? And some of us, not that we are on a higher pedestal, but some of us, we grew up in very strict environments where we were grounded in church, and despite experiencing life at a later stage whereby you had the freedom to do the things that you did, and some of us really did explore those things, at the end of the day, because there are certain basic principles that were instilled in you as a young person, you always seem to find your way back to the right way, or there are certain extent that you cannot go beyond. There are certain thresholds that you cannot exceed or cross. And it is very important, especially when it comes to leadership, to identify people who are guided by principles, people who value integrity, people who value honesty, people who are truthful. Because if we end up putting people in power that do not have the moral compass to resist doing wrong, even when they know right and wrong, or they know the difference between right and wrong, then we'll end up shooting ourselves in the foot. And I believe when it comes to leaders of integrity, leaders who are truthful, the only way that we can be safe is to look at the history of a person. Okay? Your history will vouch for you, so it will either speak for you or against you. We need to look at your footprints, where you've been. What do people say about your leadership? What do people say about your history? Okay, where you've been. Were you engaged in vices? Did you steal? So the problem we have as a country is, I'm sorry to be harsh, but we are a mediocre bunch of people. We have a lot of mediocrity in our country, and I don't understand where this thing came in, because we can clearly see a person who is indicted for corruption. Let me take, for instance, you have been mentioned for suspected corruption, you are taken to court, you're charged. That the same people that you have stolen from come and elect the same person with integrity issues. So you kind of wonder, like, do we have people with common, like, are the citizens of this country, like, having common sense? Do they actually use their minds? Because it is very confusing for young people to understand why people make the decisions they do. That's why I allowed the Gen Z, because They have taken a stand against bad manners. You see, their grandparents, their parents, their elders, their bigger brothers and sisters, they have been so contaminated with this culture that is ill-mannered until to their core they cannot distinguish between right and wrong. Like, you know this is wrong, but you still do it. You know it is wrong to bribe, but you still do it. You know that it is wrong to steal at your workplace, but you still do it. You are employed somewhere and you're the first person who steals from your employer. So, this issue of honesty, truthfulness, integrity is a very key issue. It's a very key trait that leaders need to have. It is a test that every leader needs to be taken through. Because, sorry to say this, the integrity thing is a cancer in our society. It does not start with the leaders. It starts with our parents, it starts with our teachers, the whole society is rotten. Because look at the things that you do when no one is looking. You know you're supposed to go to work at 8, but because your manager is not there, you decide to go at 10. So you expect someone to pay you at the end of the month, but you've wasted 2 hours. Then you probably will leave the office earlier. So you're stealing time, yet you demand to be paid on time. You see, it is an ethical issue. Most of us have been used to living in such a rotten society that we have become rotten in ourselves. And because we have become rotten in ourselves, we do not see wrong leadership or wrong leaders when they come before us, even if they are presented as clear as black and white. Like, this person has stolen your money, but they come and present themselves for office. But because you yourself, the principles that you live with, you do not value integrity, you do not value truth, you're not an honest person, you lie when it is convenient so that you can get away with something. Because your own internal compass is broken, you cannot therefore have the right measurement to choose the right leader, because you yourself, you are corrupt. You see, so it comes down to our own individual principles. Because when we want to elect leaders of integrity and honesty, leaders who are truthful, you yourself, are you truthful enough with yourself to acknowledge that you have been a deceitful person, that you have lied, that you have not been honest in the way you do your business, in the way you interact with people, in your employer's place of work? Are you truthful enough with yourself to acknowledge that you have been affected by the corruption in the country? Because it is until you yourself interrogate you go into you change you. Because the Bible tells us that guard your heart above all things, because out of it flows the issues of life. A wicked heart produces wicked judgment. You cannot make objective, pure judgments if your heart, the state of your heart, is dark. It's wicked, it's corrupt. So everything that flows out of you will want corruption. If you're a person that does business and you like shortcuts, You cannot go through the legal route. You like bribing so that you can get your way faster. You yourself are the promoter of corruption. Then how are we, or how again do you expect to choose leaders of integrity? You yourself are the chief corruption. It's just that you have not yet gotten the opportunity to steal in that magnitude. So someone said the leaders of a country are a reflection of the people. When you see the leaders of a country perpetuating certain vices, then look back to you as a person. When you interrogate your life, how many things do you do that are not supposed to be done? When do you know that you are on the wrong and you buy your way out of it? Because again, I will quote the Bible. It talks about, there's a verse I can't remember, it talks about a bribe blinds the eye, or a bribe somehow blinds a person. Once you receive or take a bribe, it blinds you to the truth. So every lens that you see or perceive life through will be faulty. You will not look at opportunities as just, you will look at the ends justify the means. So you're going to bribe someone in order to get that thing. And the more you do this, the more your heart becomes corrupt. The more you become a wicked person, the more you no longer have clarity on what is moral and what is not moral. So you end up compromising so much in your life until you no longer have boundaries. You can do anything with anyone at any time to get what you need. And that's the reason why the society of Kenya is where it is. We have been so corrupted by greed that we do not have boundaries. You can sleep with anyone to get anything. You can sleep with anyone to get money. You can sleep with anyone to get a promotion. You can bribe anyone to get anything. Like, you see, it's a societal thing. It's a society that is so rotten that it needs a reflection from the individual point so that it can translate to the leadership. We cannot have leaders of integrity if the citizens themselves are corrupt. So when I talk about honesty, truthfulness, and integrity, yes, the video aims at what we should look for in the leaders that we want to put into power. But that obligation starts with you as a person. You need to ask yourself, what percentage of your life operates on truth? What percentage of your life operates on integrity? What percentage of your life operates on honesty? Are you a person who is willing to go the long route and get things that justly belong to you? Or are you a person who just laments because you have not yet gotten the opportunity to steal? And if you are in that position where you are offered an easier way out, would you take it? So those are the questions that you need to ask yourself today. Because this is a healing thing. We cannot heal the country if the people are not healed. And you cannot heal if you're not willing to face the truth. That's why it is very vital to focus on truthfulness, integrity, and honesty. For every person who wants to elevate, you want to soar high in society, you need to reach a point that you're honest with yourself. Identify the things that are affecting you objectively. Try to understand how you became a victim. Then find a way of resolving those things so that you can deal with them. The journey of healing begins with acceptance. The moment you accept that you have a problem, then that's the first step to the healing. So yes, we need leaders of integrity, honesty, okay? and truthfulness. But that can only be reflected if the people who are choosing have those values operating in their life. You cannot elect a saint if you yourself, you're a demon. Sorry for using that analogy, but you can only elevate that which you are. I hope I'm making sense. And so, as we begin this series today, I think it's very important for each one of us to look into ourselves. Ask yourself the right questions. When you were growing up as a child, you used to know right from wrong. You used to be principled. You used never to compromise with anything. But you started looking into society. You started copying what people are doing. You started taking in corrupted advice from people who had no morals. And that's when you started compromising yourself. And the moment you did that, that's when your life started to have problems. That's when you started having entanglements in your life that you cannot even explain. That's when you started finding yourself in situations that you do not know how you got there. So there's no shortcut to this thing. The only way that you're coming out of this situation is if you accept your part in it, and if you're willing to rewire yourself. Go back to the child version of yourself, the one that was naive, the one that took right for right and wrong for wrong. There was no gray area. This is right and this is wrong. Stealing is wrong. Cheating is wrong. Bribing is wrong. Simple. So, the moment you understand that, especially when you're a God-fearing person, God looks at the means. To God, the means matter than the end. To a human being, the end justifies the means. So you don't care how many people you sleep with as long as you get the promotion. With God, the journey matters, because the journey that you take to achieve something will shape the person that you will become at the point of receiving that thing. That's why there's a verse that says, why should you gain the whole world and lose your soul? So you go through all this process, you bribe, you sleep around, you do all these things just to attain that wealth, just to attain that house, that car, that position. Then when you have it, you realize that you've infected yourself with diseases, you have loaded yourself with trauma, you have so much baggage that you have picked along the way because of your recklessness when it came to the safety of your well-being. So the means that you use to acquire something matter more than acquiring the thing itself. It doesn't make sense when you go through unscrupulous means and then when you attain that thing, you can't even enjoy it. How many people have stolen from this country and then they die like chicken? So what was the need of amassing all that wealth if you won't have the opportunity to enjoy it? Live a life that will let you enjoy as you become the person, so that by the time you reach the fullness of that thing, your life will give you satisfaction. So let's reflect, let's look at ourselves, let's see the areas that we need to change so that we can start operating in honesty, in integrity, and in truthfulness. And with that, I think I will finish at that for today. I hope that this message is sobering to you as a person. And I do pray that you will fix something about your life. You don't need to start big. You just need to start making the right decisions at a small scale. then each day just increase it. You'll find yourself letting go of the bad habits and focusing on the good habits, and naturally it will translate to how you think, how you make decisions, and the other part of your life. Okay, so I thank all of you who have taken your time to tune in today. I've really enjoyed shooting this video, and like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you find it worthy of your time. And I will see you for the next episode. Cheers, and God bless you.